What's up, everybody? Ben Gaben here with the wild hair and the wild shirt, coming to you live from Hawaii. I came here to do a 10-day Vipassana silent meditation retreat, and I hurt my hip, so that ended up not happening. I ended up having a beautiful time chatting with my girlfriend on the phone and just making plans, doing some business. I'm going home to see my family soon in North Carolina. I wanted to share with everybody about this new business that I'm working on. I've been in real estate for pretty heavily for like the past 4 years, even though I don't like to work many hours a week. That's one of the joys of real estate, is that because it's so lucrative, you don't have to work these crazy weeks. There have been weeks where I've worked like maybe 3 or 4 hours a week, and just really enjoying what I do anyway. So it didn't even feel like work in the first place. But there's this strategy that I discovered with my business partner, Andrew, and I've really had this vision now of scaling this and creating an actual model out of it, so that pretty much all or most of the deals I do are, you know, from this model. And this only works, as far as I can tell, in the state of North Carolina, and it's called the excess proceeds strategy. So how we do it is I locate a property that is about to be sold at the auction. And generally, these work best when the owner is actually deceased and the ownership of the property has gone to the heirs of the property. So that's what we generally do, is we look for owners who are deceased. The house is about to be sold at the auction. And let's say the auction starts at 100,000 because that's what the owner owes the bank. Well, maybe the house is worth a lot more than 100,000. So what I'm able to do is I can see the number that the auction starts at. So let's say it starts at 100,000. I've put together a model where I can see the bidding going up and up and up. And North Carolina is a very weird state when it comes to bidding, because in most states the auction happens on one day and it's over. In North Carolina, how it works is, yes, the auction will start off on one day in a courthouse, and let's say it starts off at 100,000 and there are a few investors there, and there's an auction, and let's say goes up to 120,000. Well, the auction's not over. A 10-day period begins at that point. It's called the upset bid period. And within those 10 days, anybody can come along and bid higher than 120,000. And they have to bid, I think, at least 5% higher than the last bid. So let's say somebody comes along and bids 130,000. Well, the auction's not over at that point either. It buys another 10 days. And every time somebody puts a higher bid, it buys more time. It buys 10 more days. So the auctions in North Carolina can go on and on and on. And essentially, what I've done is I put together a model where I can see where the auction has started, at what value, and I can see where the auction is at currently. And I'm able to see basically how people are valuing this particular house. And what I like to do is I'll make contact with the owner or the heirs of the property. And sometimes they're aware of the excess proceeds, sometimes they're not. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So say there was just one owner and the house started at 100,000, and let's say at the end of all of it, the auction ended at 200,000. Well, the difference between where the auction starts, 100,000, and where it ends, 200,000, that's $100,000. And the owner is actually entitled to that money. Those are called overages, overage funds, or excess proceeds. It's kind of an interesting thing. So what we do is we reach out to people before the auction is actually done, and we'll say, because I can see exactly where the auction's at. Let's say it started at 100 and it's all the way up to 150. I'll say to the owner, hi, my name is Ben. This is what I do for a living. Anyway, if you do nothing with me, you're going to be entitled to collect about 50,000. It's not 50,000 because the law firm takes money from that and then they have to pay an attorney to claim it. So let's say it's actually like 130,000. So I'll say like the difference between 130 and where it started, 100, is what they're actually entitled to. The problem is they often have to wait quite a bit of time to lay hands on this money. We've done this before, and it can take 8 months to 2 years even, um, as an outsider buying their interest in the property. So it definitely takes a long time. So what we do is we share with people like, look, you are going to be entitled to this amount of money if you wait this amount of time. But one thing that we could do is, rather than you wait, a year or two for $30,000, what if I made a deal with you? And what if I paid you, $500 up front or $1,000 up front, and we split the money on the back end? Well, for some people, they're going to say, shove it up your ass. I'm not interested in that. There are some people, though, that are going to be really interested and that need money now. So it's a solution for some people. So what we do is we pay people a little bit amount of money on the front end, and we do some paperwork, and essentially we become owners of the house on record. The deed is in our name. The auction ends. We do absolutely nothing to the house. There's no rehab. There's no anything that we have to do. All we're doing is simply paying an attorney on the back end to collect the money, and then we split, with the heir or with the owner of the house, according to whatever agreement we come up with in the first place. Why I like this model is that, first of all, it's not really real estate. It's mostly just math. It's basically like, I can see where something started in terms of value. I can see where something is currently. So I can tell how much money is involved, and then I can pay the owner less than what I'm going to make. And I can be honest in everything and upfront about the numbers and things like that. But it basically is like really simple. And what I like about this model is that it can be scaled. In North Carolina, I can do this again and again and again. And I'm not having to put all the time in that it would normally take to rehab a house. I don't have to raise money to pay off the mortgage. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I basically have done all the research on the front end. I sometimes hire a private investigator to track somebody down. I have a conversation with somebody, sometimes a few conversations. I capture their deed, I record their deed, and I wait. And at some point, I'm able to actually claim this money, and then I pay them back. So it's a very simple model. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys because it's something that I've come across that's made a huge difference for me. We've done some of these deals where, it's been okay. It's made a few thousand. And I've also done one where I made like over, gosh, I want to say like 80,000. And that was only from putting about like $10,000 in. So I can get back with exact numbers and stuff, but the amount of money that can be made on these versus like the time that goes in and versus the amount of money I have to put in up front is ludicrous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it. So the plan is just to continue to scale. I've hired a couple people who are working on finding these things, and I've basically done the work to collect data sources on, different law firms that are handling these auctions so that I can monitor everything. So, yeah, just wanted to share that with y'all. Hope you're well. If this, captures your interest at all, let me know. Peace, bye.